Hi everyone. As promised, we're going to start studying poetry today, or poems. And the first type of poems we're going to do are called sensory poems. And that is using the five senses that we have: our hearing, our sight, our smell, our taste, and our touch or our feel. Okay, that would be using our fingers. All right. So what we're going to do first is we're going to brainstorm, we're going to think about sensory words to describe objects or events. Now, we might do some ones where we describe a certain object, such as a pointer, but we're going to start first with an event. An event can be anything. It could be a sporting event, or it can be just a walk outside. All right. And then you're going to write, you're going to use these planning sheets to write your first poem. So your planning sheet's going to look like this. Okay. Use your senses to describe walking in a garden. That's going to be our first assignment, walking in a garden, or we could even just say walking outside would be acceptable too. All right. I hear, and you're going to write down what you hear. I see, that's going to be the easiest one because our most used sense is our sense of sight. We process more in the world by our sense of sight than anything else, but we also use hearing a lot as well, right? I smell, I feel, and I taste. Okay? So here's an example of a sheet that I have that is already filled out. I hear birds chirping, bees buzzing, and we know we put stuff in quotation marks. Okay, when it's a sound that an animal is making or there are words that somebody's speaking, it's an actual sound. So we can put that in quotation marks. Okay, I see colorful flowers, butterflies, and green grass. I smell fresh cut grass, or maybe you smell the crisp breeze of the air. Maybe you smell flowers. I smell I feel the warm sun, a butterfly landing on me. Well, probably a butterfly is not going to land on you. It could happen while you're out there. That would be a pretty rare occurrence. And I could taste the cold lemonade that my mom made. So maybe you go out there with a snack if you feel like there's not anything you're going to be able to taste out there. Maybe you're chewing on an apple or a peach or a granola bar or something like that while you're walking outside. Okay, so that's how you would fill out this sheet right here. And I'll include this sheet. I'll include this as well. Whoops, not upside down though. This sheet as well. And then on the opposite side, there is a place where you're going to write your poem. So you are the poet. A poet is somebody who writes poetry. You can make some sort of picture here of what you experienced when you were outside. And then here's where you're going to write your lines of poetry. And we're very used to this type of paper with the dotted lines in the middle. And we know how to put our uppercase and lowercase letters effectively on there. Okay, so let's say that this is what I wrote right here, okay? These are my observations when I went outside, okay? This might be what my poem looks like. Ready? And I'll just show it to you real quick, but I'm going to go ahead and just read that. And I will include this as well. During the spring, I go on walks through the garden. Buzz, buzz. I hear the bees buzzing and the birds chirping. I can see the colorful flowers in red, yellow, and purple. I see the green grass and smell that it has just been cut. I love feeling the warm sun on my skin. A butterfly lands lightly on my arm as I take a sip of my mom's ice-cold lemonade. I simply love taking walks through my garden. So if you really look at this right here, they have an introductory sentence, right? Like we were learning with informational writing. During the spring, I go on walks through the garden. Okay? Then you describe everything you heard, you saw, you smelled, you felt, and you tasted while in the garden. And then you do a conclusion sentence like we normally do with our other type of writing. I simply love taking walks through my garden, okay? It's summarizing, it's talking about what you just did. I went on a walk through my garden. This is saying what you're about to do or what you did. I went on walks in my garden. I love taking walks in my garden. Okay, and then everything you saw, heard, smelled, tasted, or touched or felt when you were in that garden. Okay, now some of the things that are sticking out to me is that some of the descriptive words are using color. Color will be a big important thing that we want to get in our poems. Okay? If you see something moving or you see something that catches your eye, it might be through movement or color, all right, that you first notice those things. You're going to have to pay attention to what you're feeling. Okay, now we're talking about your physical senses of what you're feeling. So it could be the sun on your skin. It could be the wind blowing through your hair. It could be something else. You have to think about that. And you have to really tune in when you're out in nature, really, really tune in. Sometimes you have to spend a few minutes out there to really tune in with what you're feeling, you're seeing, you're tasting, you're touching, or you're smelling. Okay, maybe you have a little snack with you and you're tasting something. And then you have to think about what you're hearing. Okay, now if you're walking out in a garden, I live near train tracks over here. So sometimes you probably, I think, have heard in the background a train. So it doesn't just have to be something nature based. Even though I'm walking through my garden, you would think everything would have to be related to like a bird or something like that, but it doesn't have to be. It can be, you could hear a car drove by. You could hear shouts of kids playing in the distance. You can hear a dog barking. You can hear a train go by, right? There's so many things you can hear when you're out there, and really pay attention. Sometimes you think it's totally silent and you can't hear anything, but really sometimes I close my eyes when I'm trying to tune in with my hearing, or I close my eyes when I'm trying to tune in with my sense of smell. Because shutting off my eyes, which is my most powerful sense, I believe, at least me personally, that I can really tune in. Like right now, I hear a dog barking. Do you hear the dog barking? I hear my kids talking. I hear drawers opening and closing. I hear birds in the background. And those are the things I hear, but you really just have to tune in sometimes, and then your senses will really kick in. But sometimes it takes shutting off your sense of sight to really be in touch with your other senses. Okay? And everyone, there's no right or wrong to this. I just want us to get our feet wet with writing some poetry. So we're going to write down on our poetry planning sheet your senses of what you experience when you go for a walk outside. Again, it doesn't have to be through the garden. It could just be a walk outside. You're going to record all of that of what you hear, see, feel, touch, taste, and smell. And then you are going to take that information and go ahead and write about it. And I will give you examples of everything that I went over here. I will attach examples so you can see actual examples to give you ideas. I can't wait to see your poems. And please, don't be afraid. Just take a chance. Just go for it. Just communicate what you're feeling. Communicate what you're seeing. Communicate what you're tasting. Just communicate it. Don't worry about rhyming words or anything like that unless you feel like you want to. But let's just get it all out there on a piece of paper and just let it flow out of you like good writers do. And then we'll take a look at what you wrote, and then maybe I can have a conference with each of you, and then we can figure out how to improve it and make it better. So that is our first step into poetry. I hope this is all really clear. Again, when I attach all the stuff and you can really see it well, it'll all really come together. Happy poetry writing. See you soon.